Sorcerer reporting to the Cabal.
What's up, good dudes, space entities, and cosmic horrors? Did you know Chronicles of Elyria was an MMO designed by Soulbound Studios? It had basic graphics, but the trailer shown they could still make the world beautiful with what little they had. It featured parkour, the ability to own big territories and be the ruling class of this universe. You could joust, and you could do more. I remember when they were really excited to show off snow tech for some fucking reason, which in my opinion should be a standard for modern games, but people got excited for it for some damn reason. It looked okay, as you can see, but snow is really only one aspect of weather, so that's something I moved on from. Personally, snowy weather means more in survival games because of farming and crafting and stuff, but they still had the tech to show, which meant there was a game that they are actually working on. And it was a big promise of a game, and how advanced technology is, it's almost impossible for these people to not achieve that. And it was a nice moment to know MMO developers still wanted to be creative and not follow the shitty World of Warcraft blueprint. Unfortunately for us, what we got was Jeromy Walsh. Jeromy is someone that looks like he screams at his wife and kids in public and prefers to drink wine coolers because regular beer contributes to toxic masculinity. I have no opinions on the team he hired to work for him. Actually, I kind of feel really bad for him because they have their names attached to this guy. And, you know, for those in the ball calling him out, the name will never die, so they're still attached to it actively. But on the other hand, they very well could have just helped Jeromy with the charade, since there still isn't a fucking MMO, and I doubt it. But I doubt it. So I'm going to consider the team as victims. So I showed you what Chronicles of Elyria was and what kind of hype they were putting forth. I showed you Jeromy Walsh, and you've seen a couple of his team members. And then we checked out that Kickstarter and just seen, okay, I could see why people got excited, just how the Kickstarter was set up and what they were advertising. I had some concerns like, how are you going to make an MMO survival game? Like, you can't do both without sacrificing a major part of one. So you're not going to make any side completely happy. You can either do one or the other, because people that go for MMO survival games, it ends up just becoming an MMO with some annoying mechanics. A survival game that wants to have some MMO aspects, not enough like in-depth survival mechanics, too many players in the world. Like, there's no real healthy balance because developers need to monetize, you need to cater to all the shitty gamers out there. But he launches Jeromy, or I guess I should say Soulbound, launches an event called the 45-day Dutch auction event. We've seen in the Kickstarter where you could buy counties, you could be a count, you know. So and that's what this event was, is for everybody that was new and old. It started at $65 to $135 for a town or a settlement. For counties that had multiple, you know, with counties which are just areas with multiple settlements, $350 to $650. I think duchies are a territory of counties, $650 to $1350, and that's hundreds of dollars. And the Kingdom of Nearath, so it's like, I guess 4 people can own this, and it's $3,500. But also, if you buy settlements, I guess they said in their game that they have, supposedly, NPCs will be settling in Elyria. So people got excited, like, oh, I could check my shit out during a test that I'm buying. I think that's what that whole, hey, NPCs will be in the game. And then right after, so March 25th, when was this? December 18th. A few months later, State of Elyria Into the Abyss, where, you know, they do the parkour gameplay, and we'll cut to that. You guys are definitely in for a treat, because we seen the trailer, we seen what he was showcasing. This is what he thought gameplay could be, like actual showcase gameplay to people. We've seen a trailer where it looked like there was a lot more there. Then we get this, a literal Cinti tech demo, a Cinti asset tech demo. Like, what the fuck is this, man? And I know, like, see, like, is she gonna fall? Yeah, she's gonna fall. Look at that animation. Fucking glorious. Glorious Jeromy. This really feels like he just put this together himself after getting rid of his team. And you can parkour. The parkour concept is nice, but this is all you have to show for an MMO. You should have said, oh, here's the, here's movement mechanics in our survival game, not MMO. Because there's no other players, it's just him alone in the world. So this is where he ran into a lot of issues. Right here, and then he closes down the studio. And then they have Wetland Soundscape, which is just all Cinti graphics, man. And I don't know why, like, I watched both of these videos and it just felt like, this UI seems just made up for the video. And then I'm not even going to watch the dungeon walkthrough. But here's his excuse, like, hey, remember, this is pre-Elyria, this is pre-alpha, so everything's garbage. But that was the gameplay he was pushing. And in the same blog post, the same update, talks about what they have, what they're working on, what they plan on doing, and just the progress they supposedly made. And now you have domain and settlement selection, and that players will be creating the content in the game, it seems like. And, it's just word salads about his game and just hyping it up, also like trying to attract new people in, and then immediately say they can't afford anything. For the last 4 years, since May of 2016, Soulbound Studios has been a crowdfunded company. Our first game, Chronicles of Elyria, has been funded thus far almost entirely through pledges and generosity of our backers. But that was never our intent to ask for everyone to fund the game completely. And then right here, we were fortunate or unfortunate, as it turns out, to attract publishers very early on in our development process. We had publishers from all over the world flying to meet the team, see our development progress, and get hands-on with the game. Actually, anybody from any ex-Soulbound employee, reach the fuck out. Did he actually have publishers come meet you guys? I want to know that. I haven't heard anybody ask that. Did you guys actually meet developers in person or at all? Or did he just bring someone in and tell you guys it was a publisher? But so if someone has that information, let me fucking know. That's interesting. See our development game. But after being in production for just a few months, there wasn't enough to show yet. So the conversation generally went something like, either work faster, show us more, or we're going to want to take over development and make changes to the business model. Which I think is just a lie just to scare, the supporters and the fans into thinking, oh, we almost had this pay to win. Oh my gosh. I think that's manipulation speak. But he's saying, like, since he couldn't get a publisher, they didn't have much to show. Money ran out, and he had to fire everyone. They can't find investors now that are willing to take chances, which that's a lie. Fucking all these shitty MMO projects do get, like, these indie MMOs do get funding. They get investors. Like what is it? What was that one? Titan Reach, before, the investor got doxxed and then pulled everything because, what was it? Who was the dude from Titan Reach? A fucking weirdo. Got so crazed about NFTs. Anyways. So, but to our great sadness, with the failure of Settlers of Elyria and 5 long months of only limited crowdfunding revenue coming in, Soulbound Studios has officially run out of money. Last night I was forced to do something I never thought I'd have to do. I closed the online store, put the SOE map back into read-only mode, laid off all the employees. Before taking the store down and laying off all the employees, I had a long conversation with Vi, blah, blah, blah. We were pretty confident we make all of our blah, 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 but we decided not to. And we no doubt that. And while we had no doubt that our backers would come to our aid, we were living in a volatile period in our world's history. See, a person that had a real game, that actually had something to show, would feel bad about asking the backers to keep funding, but they would still say, hey, here's what you guys can play for free right now. Just donate to us so we can develop further. Boom! Problem solved. But you're going to blame Kobud for not asking you guys for money. What an asshole. Oh my god, he had no game or had no care that he wasn't releasing shit. So with no additional funding, the Chronicles now descend into what is often referred to in the monomyth or the hero's journey as the abyss or the ordeal. It's a long period in a story where a protagonist reaches the lowest point and is often marked by a figurative or even literal death, allowing them to travel into the underworld, and so for the time being, Chronicles of Elyria heads into the darkness. So they're neither dying or going on hold, but he never specifies. So the next obvious question is most of you asking yourselves, the way to bury the lead, is this the end of Elyria? Then the answer is, I hope not. Continuing on. Oh, is this something he added just to cover his ass, or was this actually in here? Because if that's the case, he did say it's not closed. He just said it's going to be on hold or it's through a low point. Unless he added that later. Like, the metaphor works. I get it. Like, he didn't say the project's completely over. It's just, he says he hoped not. But that could have been added after everyone backlashed. But, so, later on, in April, he makes a thing saying, hey, I didn't say the game was closing, you fucking idiots. You guys are so stupid. On March 24th, I posted I'm a liar and scammed you. But in that blog post, I didn't mean that. I misworded a few things. I wasn't saying that I scammed you or I was shutting the studio. I was saying I fired my staff because, I'm a cuck and I'm not actually making a game. And I didn't want you guys to ask them and then they tell you no. And, you guys harassing me are the reasons why I had to get rid of them. I'm just kidding. He didn't say that. But he's blaming COVID. He's blaming fucking... miswording, the game's not closed, he's just working on it on his own. Just way to save his ass because, a class action lawsuit landed and they have a case and I think it's making progress. But here we are. I think last year, or it could have been, this year. It was the year that he closed out. So he opened back up forums and transactions so you can spend more money with him to keep the game afloat because he's scared he's going to lose a lawsuit, lose everything. Because he will. He doesn't deserve anything. You should take it all away from him. But he's saying he's going to be transparent and trial of the tested. We just process no longer is blah, 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 blah. It's just saying like, hey, the project's not over. Here's everything that I can give you guys so you guys don't sue me yet. And then right after this, he does the episode 3 of showing off Elyria, and that's going to be his RTS in Unity that he's trying to use to save his ass, and we'll cut to that.
Hey all, it's Jeromy here from Soulbound Studios. Welcome to episode 3 of Inside Chronicles of Elyria. In the last episode, we spoke about the adjustments we as a studio were making, and how, for now, we're placing our time and resources into the domain, settlement, and land management side of Chronicles of Elyria. In this episode, we're going to talk more about how and why, and what the rest of 2021 looks like for Soulbound Studios. From the beginning, Chronicles of Elyria was designed to provide different player experiences depending upon your interests. While everyone who plays begins life in a settlement, many of you will go on to create your own. For those that do, CoE seamlessly blends an MMORPG with a colony or settlement sim. You'll have both player and NPC citizens you'll have to care for and keep happy, resources you must balance, and changing conditions in which to respond to. But most importantly, you'll need to attract citizens.
He called scamming people out of money and making an RTS an adjustment? Like, fuck. Like, there was an MMORPG survival game you could have just put out. And the game had, there was an inherent flaw in the game because you could just stay a peasant forever because resources are finite. The PvP could, just keep you lost no materials because you lose them all. Or if you didn't spend any real money on being having a settlement or on their influence points, you could stay a peasant forever. But it couldn't complete the game, so instead of just focusing on putting together the worst MMO together to hold over backers and to stop being sued, Jeromy tries to sell this Unity test as a test of the grand strategy mechanic to the MMO. And everything you do in it really has no bearing on the game because it's in Unity, it's not in their engine. But he's saying, if you want the MMO, you need this isolated Unity game too. And it's trying to save his ass from a lawsuit by calling it a test. But most of what he is saying about this game also is like absolutely the bare minimum in RTS games, and it's way better done in even the worst ones. But it's smart to just call it a test though, because he can just keep adding new like instances, new Unity projects or whatever, and say, "Oh, this is the testing mechanic in the MMO." I don't know how long that can last, but it's smart for now. And he could just keep doing what he did with the first thing and just never finish it or release it, and then just keep making new projects saying it's going to work with the other ones. And did you know that Kingdoms of Elyria was going to be in the browser? But it's smart, isn't it? But the concern comes in when he says, like, even it doesn't matter what front end they use, it's designed to mesh in with the back end. Like, is that possible? Can you tie like a Unity game to Unreal Engine? Like, can you mesh these things together? I don't think you can, but who knows? This is a fucking mess. And moving on from his pivot to Kingdoms of Elyria, here we are in the middle of their alpha for the game, and here he's talking about the design and making flowcharts and spreadsheets of the materials you can gather, and just making tables, I guess, to balance them. I think, is that what he's trying to do? How do I exit out of this fucking? Oh, click it. And he has flowcharts which look like, oh, here's the resource, here's what you can do. I mean, this makes sense. Like a flow chart of, what you could do with an apple when you craft it, looks like. But this means fuck all if it's not in the game, if it's not functional. Like, anybody can make a flow chart of how things work in the game. I've seen people do it when they're making guides or their best grind, or the most optimal grind for a character build. Like, he's just creating a whole bunch of flow charts for no fucking reason. Like, this means fuck all if we don't use it, or there's no practical use for it. Because you've been telling us you've been making an MMO, and we've seen footage of like single player test modes, and that means fuck off. It's not implemented in the game. I mean, like, you ran out of like hype money. A video showing. I don't give a fuck how many templates you have. Like, just because you have this doesn't mean shit. Yeah, you have an idea of what resources are going to do, what you could do with an item, etc. Yeah. But why share it now? Why share it at all? Like, it's just fluff just to get people, calm down and not try to sue your ass. Oh, God. Unity art. So he has assets he's bought. And Kira said, like, if you have assets, why isn't there a game release? There has to be something. I don't think he made a game. I think he hired people to make like single player small instances of like, let's say mechanics and systems. Like, they just made single instances to test out mechanics and systems. I really feel like that's all it is. That's all he has built, is neither set pieces with mechanics for videos or just a whole bunch of single player things to give him an idea of what he wants to add to the game. That's what I think is all he has. Just a whole bunch of scattered pieces of creation that can never be combined with anything. And looking ahead to Q2, so what is the plan? What's coming up? First, we'll be communicating via the official Discord and start to have a date for mid-alpha test. But I guess it's going to be in fall. It's going to fall within Q2 this summer. Second, when the mid-alpha does release, is expect to find an updated launcher with faster downloads. So all he's just going to do is optimize the launcher. Okay. And just have the platform work throughout. We're going to have an ongoing platform work throughout to continue to leverage the benefits. What? We're going to continue to leverage the benefit that come with slightly longer intervals between testing weekends. So they're going to work harder between tests so you can see a difference. Is that what I'm getting? Just a bunch of, we're going to optimize things, and here's shit I just bought for the game, and here's some charts I made that for the future of implementation. So here's the story of Chronicles of Elyria. A guy had an idea, couldn't succeed in making it, but got a lot of money out of it, so blamed COVID for, closing the studio, but wording it ambiguously just to save himself from a lawsuit. Well, when he found out that people still had grounds to sue his ass, he comes back and says, no, I'm reopening everything. It's being worked on. Hold on, guys. And then while he panicked for a few months, he's like, hey, I can just open Unity and slam together a quick game and say it'll tie into the world. And that would save me. And he did that. Kingdoms of Elyria. He calls it a test, so that's why it's like in its own isolated instance on Unity. And somehow he even said that everything, anything on the front end going forward is still going to be designed in mind to mesh with the back end. Whatever that. So if he uses a browser for, part of the game, somehow it's going to eventually tie into the game to work together. I don't understand that. It's like he's puzzle piecing an MMO with a whole bunch of single player instances. It's kind of like World of Warcraft or like some feature creeping MMOs now where they just have a whole bunch of just isolated instances with weird mechanics that doesn't tie into the game, but they claim it does. That's all this is going to be. Which in the end is still going to be just a shitty MMO if it even becomes one. Like, that's where we're at. He almost got sued for failing to make a game that he could never make. And he's still saying that there's a game coming and everything that is coming out forward is going to be for it. But the lawsuit's still going. He's still failing. Jeromy Walsh still looks like he drinks wine coolers and abuses his family in public. Looks like it. He looks like it. He doesn't do it. He just looks like it. But that's what we have. A very scattered, very fast-hand history of Chronicles of Elyria. And there's so much going on in this that I recommend you guys just to look it up on your own. There's so many playlists, so many videos, so many perspectives, leaks, jokes, Discord, Twitter, like it's all over the place. So if you guys are interested in the rabbit hole, in the description, I will direct you places to go to look further that has more in-depth detail. But thanks for checking it out. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good one. Avoid games like this. Like, don't try to invest anything that doesn't have a playable, like, doesn't have anything to test before you send it money. Sorry, it's just where we're at now. But have a good one, everyone.
Cabal is Legion.